Coffee's journey began in Ethiopia and Yemen, where it was first used for its energizing properties and as a focus aid during prayers. By the 15th century, it spread to Mecca and later to the Levant, stirring religious debates in Ottoman and Mamluk societies. In the 16th century, coffee arrived in Europe via Mediterranean trade routes, influencing Italy and Eastern Europe through Ottoman connections. By the 17th century, it reached India and the East Indies, setting the stage for its global expansion. Coffee also played an essential role in shaping the American frontier during the Old West era. For settlers, cowboys, and pioneers, coffee was more than a drink. It was a daily ritual that provided comfort, energy, and a sense of community in an often harsh and lonely environment. Brewed over open flames and consumed from tin cups, coffee became a staple at campfires and homesteads. It served as a morale booster for those working long days under challenging conditions, and often doubled as a social lubricant, bringing people together. This reliance on coffee mirrored the rugged, practical spirit of the frontier, cementing its place in the cultural and historical fabric of the Old West. Grab your favorite canister, a seat round the fire, and fill her up as we talk about Caffeine Cowboys and the history of coffee on the American frontier. Ancient medical texts first documented coffee in 10th century Persia, when the physician Rhasis made written observations about the beverage. However, detailed historical accounts didn't surface until 5 centuries later. The beverage's origins lay deep in Ethiopian soil, from where Somali traders transported the precious beans across the Red Sea to Yemeni shores. Yemen's bustling Mocha port served as the launching point for coffee's expansion, sending the aromatic beans first to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, then northward across Africa and throughout Ottoman territories. The mystical Sufi orders of Yemen discovered coffee's ability to ward off drowsiness during their spiritual practices, and soon the drink became valued for its power to combat sleepiness. As the 1500s dawned, the vibrant coffee houses sprang up across major Middle Eastern metropolises like Cairo, Aleppo, and Constantinople, transforming into centers where people gathered to exchange ideas and engage in discourse. The drink's path to acceptance faced turbulent waters when religious officials in Mecca and Cairo attempted to restrict its consumption, concerned about its stimulant properties. These obstacles dissolved, though, when Ottoman ruler Suleiman I and fellow authorities lifted the restrictions, cementing coffee's significance in Middle Eastern society. The beverage subsequently conquered European tastes through maritime commerce and exploration, with Italian society particularly embracing the new drink. Dutch colonial expansion then carried coffee cultivation to distant shores, establishing plantations across the East Indies and American continents, which transformed the beverage into a worldwide commodity. Coffee's worldwide cultivation experienced a pivotal moment in 1720, when Gabriel de Clieu transported vital seedlings to Martinique. The Caribbean climate proved ideal, and within 5 decades, the island flourished with nearly 19,000 coffee trees, spurring expansion into Saint-Domingue, or present-day Haiti, Mexico, and surrounding Caribbean territories. By 1788, Saint-Domingue emerged as the dominant force in global coffee production, generating half the world's supply through the forced labor of enslaved Africans. The harsh plantation system ultimately fueled the Haitian Revolution, which dramatically altered the region's coffee industry. On Bourbon Island in the Indian Ocean, a distinctive Arabica variety evolved, later influencing the development of celebrated coffees like Brazil's Santos and Mexico's Oaxaca varieties. A fascinating chapter unfolded in 1727, when Francisco de Melo Paleta, acting on Portuguese royal orders, acquired coffee seeds from French Guiana through an arrangement with the French governor's spouse. Though Brazil's coffee sector initially developed gradually, it underwent explosive growth following the nation's 1822 independence, leading to extensive clearing of forests for vast plantations. Brazil seized the crown as the world's primary coffee producer by 1852, maintaining this position while extending its influence to East Africa's Kenya and Tanzania by 1893, symbolically completing coffee's circular journey to its Ethiopian homeland. The late 1800s witnessed coffee's expansion throughout Latin America, often accompanied by social upheaval and worker exploitation. In Guatemala, indigenous communities endured forced labor systems, creating lasting social divisions. Costa Rica chose a different path, encouraging smaller family-operated farms, though throughout the region, coffee cultivation fundamentally reshaped societies and economies. From the mid-1800s to the mid-1900s, Brazil's coffee exports exceeded the combined output of all other producing nations. After 1950, though, the emergence of new major producers, including Colombia, Ethiopia, the Ivory Coast, and Vietnam, brought greater diversity to the industry, while cementing coffee's position as one of global trade's most valuable commodities. While Brazil rose to dominate global coffee production, thousands of miles north, the beverage had already woven itself into the fabric of American frontier life. Along the dusty trails and remote outposts of the Old West, coffee emerged as an indispensable staple of cowboy culture. The profound significance of coffee in cowboy culture stemmed from deeper historical roots in American society. During the 1760s, when British King George III sought to address mounting national debts through colonial taxation, tea's position as America's preferred beverage began to crumble. The implementation of multiple revenue measures, including the Stamp Act and Townshend Act, culminated in the particularly contentious Tea Act. Colonial frustration reached its boiling point during the historic Boston Tea Party, when protesters hurled British tea cargo into the harbor's waters, rejecting what they viewed as oppressive taxation. This watershed moment accelerated tea's downfall in colonial society, as coffee stepped forward to fill the symbolic void. Revolutionary discourse increasingly occurred over steaming cups of coffee, transforming local coffee houses into unofficial headquarters for political activism and resistance planning. The shift from tea to coffee carried such political weight that even prominent figures like John Adams documented their personal transitions. In correspondence with his wife Abigail, America's future second president characterized his adoption of coffee drinking as an essential demonstration of revolutionary commitment, advocating for a complete abandonment of tea to display colonial solidarity against British control. Coffee's dominance in American beverage culture solidified following independence in 1776. The lingering association between tea and British imperialism relegated it primarily to feminine social gatherings and genteel environments, whereas coffee embodied the bold, independent character of the fledgling republic. The dawn of the 19th century witnessed Americans' attention shift towards Western expansion. As pioneers, prospectors, and what would later be known as cowboys, ventured into unexplored territories, following paths towards California and the Oregon Territory, they carried with them not just their belongings, but also this deeply ingrained coffee culture that had emerged from revolutionary defiance. Coffee transcended its role as a mere drink and emerged as a cornerstone of cowboy existence. No meal passed without its presence, and a simmering pot perpetually occupied a place of honor over campfire flames. The precious beans commanded respect comparable to precious metals, cherished both for their invigorating properties and the solace they provided during grueling workdays. These cattlemen of the plains developed sophisticated palates for their beloved brew, readily distinguishing exceptional batches from subpar offerings. Their colorful vocabulary included playful terms like dehorned belly wash or brown gargle for particularly weak preparations. Their unmistakable preference leaned toward robust, unsweetened brews that delivered the necessary energy for their demanding profession. The beverage served an instrumental purpose in maintaining alertness during extended periods of work. Night watches and evening herd management often stretched into exhausting shifts. Historical accounts, such as those from trail boss George Duffield, described how his crew persevered through punishing 60-hour stretches of severe weather, sustained primarily by modest portions of bread, accompanied by their vital coffee rations. Yet coffee's importance extended beyond mere sustenance, functioning as a social catalyst that strengthened bonds between these frontier workers. The ritual of gathering around flickering flames, cups in hand, created opportunities for storytelling and fellowship, fortified their collective spirit against the trials of trail life. In that era, coffee preparation demanded considerably more effort than modern methods. Most frontier dwellers worked with raw green coffee beans, as pre-roasted varieties represented an unattainable luxury. Camp cooks, affectionately dubbed cookies, shouldered the responsibility of transforming these green beans into aromatic roasted ones over open flames. While roasted beans offered convenience, their higher cost made green coffee beans the practical choice for frontier inhabitants and long-distance travelers. Post-roasting, the grinding process proved equally labor-intensive, as pre-ground coffee remained decades away. Manual coffee grinders became indispensable tools, available in various configurations, from wall-mounted units to portable versions. These hand-operated grinders, featuring burr mechanisms, actually produced more consistent results than many contemporary electric alternatives. Such devices, now often repurposed for grinding pepper or preparing Turkish coffee, represented standard equipment for any serious coffee drinker of that period. Trail brewing embraced simplicity and innovation. Although the percolator emerged in 1819 with an improved stovetop version following in 1889, its bulk proved impractical for mobile cowboys. Instead, they pioneered what became known as cowboy coffee, a straightforward method involving ground coffee steeped in water heated to near boiling temperatures. Adding cold water helped settle the grounds, and skilled practitioners mastered the art of pouring with minimal sediment transfer. This unrefined yet effective brewing approach shared surprising similarities with traditional Ethiopian coffee preparation. The resulting bold, unfiltered beverage embodied the untamed spirit of the frontier life itself. So what separated cowboy coffee from similarly prepared brews? Their brewing methodology incorporated ingenious tricks that transformed simple ingredients into palatable drinks. Salt became a secret weapon, added judiciously to temper bitterness and enhance flavor complexity. Resourceful cowboys discovered that crushed eggshells possessed remarkable properties. Their alkaline composition not only softened the coffee's harsh edge, but also encouraged grounds to settle at the pot's bottom, resulting in a remarkably clear liquid. When traditional tools proved scarce, they demonstrated remarkable creativity, occasionally employing a clean sock as an improvised filtering mechanism. This distinctive brewing approach celebrated improvisation over precision, reflecting the cowboys' broader philosophy of adapting to challenging environments. Unlike contemporary coffee preparation, which demands exacting measurements and specialized equipment, these trail-hardened individuals relied on intuition and experience. Fundamentally, cowboy coffee represented the essence of minimalist preparation, requiring nothing more than a pot, water, and coarsely ground beans, with an open flame serving as the primary heat source. Its adaptability made it ideal for environments lacking modern conveniences, from remote campsites to windswept prairie landscapes. The preparation followed a deceptively simple protocol. 4 cups of water would be brought to a vigorous boil. then momentarily removed from heat to cool slightly, reaching an optimal brewing temperature around 200 degrees Fahrenheit. 4 tablespoons of coarse ground coffee would be introduced slowly, often accompanied by a pinch of salt. Returning the pot to flames, the mixture would be gently stirred twice during a 4-minute brewing cycle. A distinctive final touch involved introducing cold water, facilitating a cleaner pour. Temperature manipulation represented a critical element of this brewing technique. A brief boiling process diminished the coffee's acidic qualities while preserving its robust flavor profile. Coarse grinding wasn't merely a preference, but a practical necessity, preventing fine particles from infiltrating the final brew and ensuring a smoother drinking experience. So what began as a survival technique evolved into a revered preparation method, celebrating the ingenuity of frontier life. The approach embodied more than just coffee preparation. It symbolized resourcefulness, adaptability, and the capacity to transform limited resources into something extraordinary. No story about the evolution of coffee on the American frontier would be complete without highlighting the trailblazers who commodified cowboy coffee so that the everyday American, regardless of class or status, or the number in their bank account, could enjoy a roasted cup of joe each and every morning, just like their cowpoke brethren. As westward migration unfolded during the mid-1800s, pioneers confronted significant challenges in maintaining their caffeine consumption. The journey demanded innovative approaches to coffee preparation, with travelers transporting raw green coffee beans despite their considerable wagon weight. Preparing these beans required extraordinary effort. Settlers would carefully roast their cargo in cast iron skillets over campfire flames, then meticulously process them using their aforementioned handheld grinding devices. The resulting beverage presented its own challenges, compelling drinkers to employ the inventive saucer and blow method, carefully decanting coffee into shallow dishes to cool and minimize ground infiltration. This laborious process created an exceptional market opportunity for visionary entrepreneurs like James Folger and John Arbuckle, who would dramatically transform coffee production and distribution across the expanding westward nation. James Athern Folger's remarkable journey commenced in 1849, when at merely 14 years old, he and his siblings departed Nantucket, Massachusetts, seeking fortune in California's gold rush. Their expedition proved grueling, involving an extensive maritime voyage and a challenging land crossing through Panama's challenging terrain. By May 1850, upon reaching San Francisco, the family's financial reserves had nearly vanished. While his brothers pursued gold prospecting, James remained in the city, determined to establish himself. Having worked as a carpenter since childhood, Folger quickly secured employment with William H. Bovee, a forward-thinking New Yorker who envisioned establishing a comprehensive coffee and spice mill. Together, they constructed the Pioneer Steam Coffee and Spice Mills, just 6 blocks from San Francisco's vibrant waterfront. Demonstrating remarkable resourcefulness, James incorporated wind-powered sails salvaged from abandoned whaling vessels left behind by gold-seeking sailors. Bovee, drawing from his previous coffee roasting experience in New York, recognized the immense potential within California's mining communities. He understood that prospectors would eagerly embrace pre-roasted, conveniently packaged coffee. In 1851, James personally traveled to the goldfields, distributing pioneer coffee samples in sealed tins. During this expedition, he discovered his own form of success, earning sufficient funds to establish a store in Yankee Jim's mining camp. 4 years later, at 18, he sold his business and returned to San Francisco, rejoining Pioneer Mills as a partner. By 1859, Bovee transferred his business stake to James Folger, who subsequently purchased the remaining partnerships and rechristened the enterprise as the James A. Folger Company. Under his leadership, the organization flourished, establishing a multi-generational legacy. At 24, he married and constructed a home in Oakland, California, continuing his business expansion. Tragically, a heart attack claimed his life at just 54, with his eldest son, James A. Folger II, assuming company leadership. James A. Folger II's ascension to leadership marked a transformative period for the family enterprise. Whether through strategic brilliance or fortuitous timing, he propelled the company into unprecedented success. During the 1890s, he revolutionized coffee distribution by introducing bulk roasted bean sales, enabling grocery stores to offer customers flexible purchasing options. The company developed tiered product lines, with its premium Folgers Golden Gate blend adorned with an evocative illustration depicting a ship traversing San Francisco Bay, symbolically anchoring the brand to its maritime origins. The early 20th century witnessed rapid expansion. Salesman Frank Piatha strategically established a Texas plant in 1901, followed by a pivotal Kansas City roasting facility in 1908, which remained operational for decades. Procter & Gamble's 1963 acquisition catalyzed further growth, doubling sales and introducing the now legendary marketing emphasis on mountain-grown beans. The immortal slogan, "The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup," became deeply embedded in American cultural consciousness, though only a few recognized the brand's century-long heritage. Concurrently, John Arbuckle Jr. emerged as another pioneering coffee figure, particularly among the Southwestern Cowboys and Texas frontier workers. His breakthrough arrived in 1868 with an innovative bean preservation technique involving a proprietary coating of sugar, eggs, and Irish moss. This method not only enhanced flavor, but extended bean longevity, making his product exceptionally appealing to travelers and workers with limited storage options. Arbuckle entered the coffee industry through his family's Pittsburgh wholesale grocery business after departing college in 1860. Demonstrating remarkable marketing acumen, he established the Arbuckle's Brothers factory in New York City by 1871, creating one of the era's first commercial coffee brands, Arbuckle's Ariosa. To differentiate his product, he introduced ingenious package incentives, including redeemable coupons for diverse items, ranging from practical tools to wedding rings, alongside a complimentary peppermint candy stick. His marketing strategies particularly resonated with chuck wagon cooks managing cattle drives. These culinary professionals would entice younger workers into bean grinding duties by offering the coveted candy, proclaiming, "Who wants the candy?" The brand became so ubiquitous that Arbuckle's transformed into a generic coffee term. Frontier coffee preparation involved numerous challenges. Water quality significantly impacted brewing, with hard water requiring salt additives and gypsum-rich water necessitating egg interventions to moderate acidity. Multiple brew cycles without ground replacement often resulted in unpalatable, scorched flavors. Nevertheless, Arbuckle's remained a critical provision staple, with camp cooks ensuring abundant supplies. Trading cards included with coffee packages further distinguished the brand, featuring educational content spanning geography, national history, wildlife, and playful professional satire. These collectibles testified to Arbuckle's cultural significance. By the 1890s, John Arbuckle had amassed considerable wealth and diversified into sugar production. Upon his passing in 1912, at 74 years old, the brand's prominence gradually diminished. Yet, its legacy persists through Arbuckle Coffee Roasters in Tucson, Arizona, which maintains the historical connection. Meanwhile, Folgers continues its enduring journey, embodying the quintessential American coffee experience. Cowboy coffee served as more than a caffeine delivery system. It represented a cultural ritual that connected practitioners to a broader narrative of Western expansion. Each cup of coffee told a story of survival, resilience, and the human capacity to find comfort and community under the most challenging circumstances. The enduring appeal of this brewing method lay not just in its simplicity, but in its ability to evoke a powerful sense of historical connection. Whether recreated during modern camping expeditions or experimented with in contemporary kitchens, cowboy coffee offered a tangible link to the spirited legacy of the American frontier.